mean, do I believe that the New York Jets are a Super Bowl contender? I mean, come on, guys. This is a classic overreaction. You know, the Jets had their first home game. They beat the Patriots 24-3. And now Rodgers, Rodgers looked good, and everyone's like, oh, are the Jets a Super Bowl contender? I mean, come on, guys. Come on, guys. Come on, stop it. Stop this. Seriously. They beat the Patriots, who are really bad. I mean, they are really bad. Jacoby Brissett is not a starting NFL quarterback. Like, he's a serviceable backup. He can plug him in at times if there's an injury and spot starter if needed. But he is not a starting quarterback, and they got no weapons at all. They got no receivers at all. And their running game, Stevenson, I mean, decent. But this is going to be a really bad team, and that's expected. And so I don't put any value at a home victory against, the Jets, against the Patriots. None at all. And yeah, I mean, look, Rodgers looked good. I'll give him credit. Rodgers looked really good. He looked like he's back and he's playing well. But just because Rodgers is playing well doesn't mean these guys are a Super Bowl contender. And then, I mean, who's their other win? They beat Tennessee Titans, Will Levis and Tennessee. And honestly, Tennessee probably should have won that game. Will Levis had a bonehead play, early on. Then they drove late. They had a chance to tie it up, and they weren't able to in the fourth. But they could have easily lost that game. And Rodgers is looking good, pretty solid, but he's not looking like he's a great elite QB right now. And maybe he will be towards the end of the season, but stop this. Like, look, they play two teams that are combined 1-4, Patriots and, Tennessee, combined 1-4. So let's not act like these guys are Super Bowl contenders. Not at all. Obviously, they lost in week 1 to San Francisco, and everyone's like, oh, they're expected to lose. Yeah, they are expected, but San Francisco's not that good either. So let's not act like they're a top, the best team in the league. And so I'm putting the brakes big time. And you know what sucks for us to actually analyze the Jets? Because the Jets are probably going to end up having a good record by default. They have a really crappy schedule. They just got a weak schedule. They're playing Denver. Then they're playing Minnesota in London. Buffalo, okay, we'll see. Buffalo's a solid team. We don't know, really can't speak too much for Buffalo. Then they got Pittsburgh in week 7. New England again, week 8. Houston, week 9. I think Houston's a solid team. Arizona. Then the Colts. Seattle. Miami. Jacksonville. The Rams. Buffalo and Miami. So, look, there's maybe 3-4 games that look like this are tough games and with solid opponents. But other than that, I mean, their path to 11 wins, maybe 12, is pretty easily, honestly. They have a pretty easy path, and so they got a weak schedule. But let's stop all of this that they're a Super Bowl contender. When you define Super Bowl contender, that means you have to get out of your own conference, right? Like, are they going to get out of their own conference and make the Super Bowl? Let's start off right away. We got the Chiefs in that conference. So let's not act like they're better than the Chiefs, and it's not even close. They're not even in the discussion. You got Buffalo, who looks decent in their own division. So both still early on. Don't know what's going to happen with Tua, obviously, with that concussion, what's going to happen. But they were obviously a contender in the conference, but, we don't know what's going to happen. Browns could be a contender. Baltimore could be in there. Bengals could be in there. So those are 3 teams that have the potential to play well. You got Houston, right? That's another good team. That's 4 teams. You got the Jaguars, who I don't know yet. Like, they could be interesting if Trevor Lawrence plays well. So that's 5 teams. Then you got the Chargers, who I said all along are a better team than people expect. I don't know if they're a contender, but you got about 6 teams that are going to be pretty decent, I think. And are the Jets in that discussion? Maybe. I can't even put them in that bucket just yet. So, look, they have a chance to be a solid team just because they have a weak schedule. But are they a Super Bowl contender? Stop it. Just stop this right now. Let's give them another. Let's get to week 8. Let's get to week 8 after they play Minnesota, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and see how they did. 7 games in, like what's the record, and how not only what's the record, how do they look? Like, is Rodgers look like he's back, or is this an anomaly against the Pats? Just the crappy Pats at home. So look, I think we're far away, far away from considering these guys a contender at all. But look, they do have a making. Their defense was really good last year. We'll see how they perform this year. Once again, holding Patriots at 3 points, it's great, it's nice, but doesn't tell me too much. And beating Tennessee, doesn't say much either. So it's still early on. Obviously, it's a good storyline that Rodgers, coming off an Achilles injury, looks pretty good after 3 games and is looking like he's rounding into form. That's good. They got a good running back tandem of Hall and Allen from the rookie out of Wisconsin. So those guys look solid. Still trying to figure out after Garrett Wilson, who's their receivers. Obviously, their tight end Conklin looks decent. I don't know if Mike Williams. We don't know. We haven't seen enough of him yet. Alan Lazard, is that your number 2? I don't think that's a number 2 on a Super Bowl contending team. So they still got a lot to show, but to answer the question, are they a Super Bowl contender? Absolutely not. Not at this point in the season. You just don't jump to being a Super Bowl contender after 3 games when you lose the first one and then you beat Will Levis and the Titans, and everybody knows how I feel about Will Levis, and then you beat the Patriots at home. Like, not even close, but long season, still early on. We'll see what happens.